Welcome to episode 112 of Gracefully and Frankly from our home in Cathedral City, where we're staying for just a few more weeks, but it's been so tense. Anyway, I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt, and I won't be here for a few more weeks. I'm jetting my way back, but Dottie and Livy are in the room in case you hear a little tinkling. Not that kind of tinkling. It would be a collar. Mm-hmm. And it's a lovely place, and we're very comfortable.
We are.
Yes, and we're grateful. The Facebook Live. Oh, my goodness. So many people have watched it.
Yeah, like over 7,000. So thanks for that. If you haven't seen it yet and you've been wondering, where's episode 111? Well, just go to our Gracefully and Frankly page on Facebook, or you can go to YouTube, and the name of our channel on YouTube is
Gracefully and Frankly.
How original. Well, you stick with what works, and this seems to be. So thanks for that. Also, we want to thank you for 150,000 listens to our podcast so far.
It's amazing. 150,000 downloads is a major milestone that we're grateful to get to. You just don't even know what to think when you start. It's like, we want to do this, we're having fun. And so when we see these numbers, it kind of blows our mind.
Well, we haven't known what to think for the past several days. And we will tell you that we are recording this Tuesday before Lisa jets out this afternoon to head back to very chilly Ontario, even Sydney, British Columbia. I got a message from our vet's office, Lisa, that said they were sending their staff home because of uncertain weather. And I texted Rob, what's going on there? Oh, yeah, they got about 1 centimeter or 2, but I guess the island's getting snow.
Yeah, and it looks just wrong.
It does.
Where you live, it does not look like it should have a blanket of snow.
Nevertheless, I was so anxious Saturday night after Prime Minister Trudeau's news conference that I honestly was ready to pack up the car. And this is a big undertaking because it would be me, 2 dogs, an electric vehicle, driving all the way home. But Rob talked me down, and so did you. Thank you, my friend.
Well, it wasn't an out-of-the-world kind of reaction because it's an emotional thing. I think what happened with the tariff announcement that, definitely it was coming. And of course, as we know now, things have changed. But then the Prime Minister making his announcement is it made patriotic feelings swell up in us. And we look around and we're in America right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it feels like America, not Americans, not all Americans, is kind of the enemy and coming for us. So I absolutely understood it. But yeah, it would have been a massive thing for you to have to do.
It was 2 words that truly changed my mind. Tire chains.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because Rob, he was talking me off the ledge too on Saturday night, saying, look, okay, if you want me to fly down early, I've got a lot of commitments at home. I'll cancel them. I'll fly down. We'll drive home immediately. Notwithstanding the fact that we have company coming next week who planned this again before the U.S. election in November.
Right.
So he said, I will come down. I will get you. We will go home because you can't go home without chains on tires, which I'd completely forgotten. I live this insulated life, Lisa.
Well, I hadn't even thought of it. And I was going through my head thinking, okay, what if I stayed a little longer and helped her pack and all that kind of thing, if this is really going to happen? But of course, Rob is I don't want to say sane.
Well,
but he's the steady one, right? Mm-hmm. So
of the 2 of us or of the 3 of us?
Probably of the 3 of us, because Derek's my steady guy. Right. And he would have had to sign off on it first, but I was kind of whirling in my head, okay, if this is going to happen, maybe I can help somehow.
It'd be you and me, like the Donner Party.
Oh, great.
All we've got is keto snacks. Keto snacks and dog food.
2 dogs that are starting to look like roast chickens. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys, cover your ears.
That's right. That's foul. Okay, so here we are now, and the brakes have been put on the tariffs. And we're all ready to talk about this because this is foremost in everybody's mind right now. But what a unifying moment for Canada. This is like, Canada versus Russia in 1972. Like, this is a huge moment in our history.
Yeah, and we often get called or thought of as sort of America Light, right? Mm-hmm. And this was the moment when we made it absolutely fundamentally clear.
That's not the F word I thought you were going to use, because that too.
We are our own country. We're a big one. We're a proud one. And we can do our own thing. Somebody said, you found this on Threads or something. It's like, we have two moods of Canadians, sorry and...
You'll be sorry.
Right.
Right.
And it's true, because coming after us that way is very scary and unfortunate. And the border of Canada and the U.S., yeah, we have to use passports and we have to have checks and all that kind of stuff, but it's always kind of been a free-flowing thing. Mm-hmm. And it got pretty worrisome.
It really did, in a lot of ways for a lot of people, and we're going to explore some of those things today as we sit here and chat with you from our home. And it does sound a little more echoey than in our studios, so it's a wonderful thing to be able to look across the microphone at your face.
It's very rare, and I love it.
And we both have a little dog at our hip, each of us on either couch. We're sitting on kitty corner, or catty corner, as they say down in the States, from each other. But what are they saying in the States about this whole tariff thing? Well, one of our very favorite liberal redneck comedians is Trey Crowder. And Trey, if you can cut through that thick accent, man, he's good. And here's part of what he had to say.
Canada, I didn't know anybody hated Canada, but MAGA's reaction to these tariffs has been, yeah, it's what they get for being all Frenchy up there. Right now, anything we get from those countries is going to be more expensive. But I mean, what do we even really get from those countries? You know, just fruit, vegetables, meat, cars, gas, lumber, booze, sundry other necessities. Should be fine. Why is the right okay with that? Wasn't that like the whole election for them? We will turn to Donald Trump to fix this. Mr. Trump, how are you going to fix this? Well, I was thinking I would artificially and unnecessarily inflate the cost of everyday goods further. That's smart. I like that. All right, chess, not checkers. Okay.
That's perfect.
The thing about Trey is he is an anomaly. You hear that Southern accent and you think, oh boy, he's going to be super conservative and
MAGA.
all those things. And he calls himself the liberal redneck.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. He's like, I know I have this way of speaking, but he's very liberal.
And very smart. He's got a couple of degrees and he does his thing from his car. But that's all to say that is some American reaction to this. Of course, Fox idiots say that we should be honored to be the 51st state. Well, where do we begin with this, Lisa?
It comes from ignorance, I think. It comes from not understanding what this country is. The current president has a way of putting up one hand and waving and saying, look at this hand, look at this hand, look at this hand. But what we're not looking at is either what he's not doing or what he's really doing. Mm-hmm. What he's not doing is fixing this supposedly horrific broken healthcare system in the U.S. Oh. He's getting into office and starting all of these disputes with other countries because he thinks of himself as some sort of a king.
Mm-hmm. He does. He's delusional. He's the emperor with no clothes. Ew. Sorry about that. You thought the dog's breath was bad. Now we've got that taste in our mouth. But Arlene Dickinson, the Canadian who put it perfectly this week, and her Facebook post went viral on the weekend. She's the Queen of Dragon's Den, a manager at a capital firm based in Calgary, and one of Canada's top business leaders. And when this all came out, she basically was saying what you're saying about the little tiny hand up here. Trump is blaming fentanyl for his tariffs on Canada. Do you know the amount of fentanyl that comes in from Canada you could fit in 2 carry-on bags, Lisa? Please don't.
No.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah. It's a distraction to enable his tariff powers. It's not the truth. He can't tell the truth. It's about him wanting our land, resources, and geography. He doesn't want a trade relationship. He wants power and control. And then she goes on to say, we don't fall for distractions. We don't get pushed around. We stand our ground.
Yeah. The Prime Minister was getting some pushback from a couple of premiers saying he's being too tough and that the president is just misguided. And if we push back, he will push harder.
That's Danielle Smith. What is wrong with her?
Yeah.
And I'm born in Alberta, so I get a say here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look what happened to Colombia. Colombia didn't push back on some stuff and knuckled under, and now Colombia is basically under a thumb. Mexico got that delay because they were going to put the army on the border and look for drug dealers. Now we're going to put coppers in the air. I'm quoting a song.
Coming for you.
That's right.
What song has coppers in the air?
Copperhead Road. DEA has choppers in the air. That's what it is, not coppers.
Okay,
so Steve Earle. Anyway, I digress. And so now we're going to spend $1.3 billion. But I think the Prime Minister had it right. You have to push him back. He doesn't understand anything but a bully. He is a bully. So you have to push back. And I don't think that calling for him to be softer or more mealy-mouthed was going to do anything for us. In fact, I think Trudeau, that was probably his finest moment as a Prime Minister. One of his finest moments.
Absolutely. Do you think that he regrets now stepping down? This was a question I asked you as we watched him on Saturday night with all of the courage of his and our convictions. And you had an interesting observation. He didn't step down.
He was pushed out. So I think he's just full of regret. I think he's just absolutely full of regret. And now he's showing the kind of backbone that a lot of people wanted to see from him. You made an amazing observation, though, my dear.
Okay.
And that was, we get our flag back now.
Oh my gosh, that's what it feels like, Lisa. That everybody, including the guy in the harbor at Port Stanley that you made fun of because he had an F Trudeau flag and you said, oh, he's single now. And I will never live that down, and neither will your husband, because he just wanted you to shut up and walk away. All of those people made us wonder when we saw a maple leaf flag, whether they were with the convoy or whether they were honoring Canada. And in this case, now we know what the maple leaf stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really brought us all together, and it doesn't matter where we come from in the country or what kind of political stripes. Although there are still an awful lot of people in the U.S. who think this is funny. They think that they're not going to be touched or affected by any tariffs, that nothing that they buy or want or deal in is going to get more expensive. They're called morons who don't understand how economies work.
Of course.
So there's still quite a bit of that. But I saw a lot of, and again, when we talk of social media, we understand we're talking about curated feeds because you pick and choose who you want in your social media. But I saw a lot of Americans saying, we're with you. If something came to shove, we're standing with the Canadians and against what is happening to you right now. And that was really heartwarming.
It really was. To see that kind of support from our American neighbors makes you feel kind of cringy about booing at the hockey games. How do you feel about what happened there?
I don't think that's great at all. I don't think that's a good thing to do, especially there's a young singer singing and all these other things. But I will tell you, I have never understood anthems at games that weren't the Olympics.
Right.
I've never understood it because they're not representing their whole country. They're there representing a team that's from an American city or whatever. I've never, ever understood it. But I don't think it's right either. I think Ian MacArthur, the general from CHFI.
Love you, Ian.
Yes, we love you, Ian. I think it was him who suggested that they just play music and not have a singer because it was just not classy and just not I can't remember the wording he used, but I thought that was an interesting idea.
Sure. Quite apart from whether an anthem should be played at an event, you don't want that to happen.
No.
But Canadians are mad, and as somebody else so wisely and perfectly put it, Canadians don't even like being pissed off. We're mad that you're making us mad.
Isn't that the truth?
Isn't it?
It's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. So here's a woman who called us on our voicemail line, and we're so glad that you're doing this because it's so easy. Just go to our Facebook page where you would message us personally. Go there, and there's a little microphone icon. So just push on that and speak into your phone nice and clearly. Don't worry about any stutters or stammers or your speed or anything like that because we're going to fix it for you. Don't worry. You are in such good hands with us.
Safe as could be.
Right, because if you sound good, we sound good. And we love when you take part in our podcast. So this is Kathy. She's in Florida, and here's how she feels.
Hi, Erin and Lisa. I just got caught up with Gracefully and Frankly, and I could certainly relate to your conversation about being in the U.S. We've been coming down to Naples for years, excepting, of course, when Trump got in the first time. We wouldn't cross the border for 4 years. Then when Biden got in, we hurried down about 2 weeks after he won, and we bit the bullet and bought a place. We couldn't imagine that Trump would get in a second time, but the unthinkable happened. We arrived down here about 2 weeks after he got in this time, put the place up for sale, and sold it a couple weeks ago. We closed the end of February, but after his tariff announcement on Saturday, we definitely made the right decision, and we won't be back for a long time, if ever. Just wanted to thank you for helping me through these rough political days. Your humor, your stories, I can relate to so many of them. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Kathy, and we love to be here for you. It's an honor to be able to kind of hold your hand as best we can.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't, happening in a vacuum. As we know, our friend Wanda, who was with us on our Facebook Live, who helped us with so many things. We used her house. We rearranged her house.
We did.
She has her place up for sale. And it doesn't feel like a mass exodus around here. But then again, I don't know. I don't know a lot of Canadians here. Certainly is in Florida. There are a lot of people who are selling and getting out. Then I think of my friend Brenda from high school. She and her husband John have been going to Texas forever for the winter. Are they going to continue to go? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't bother them. Maybe it does. And that's, I guess, another thing. It's kind of to each their own. Don't let somebody else push you into an area that's not comfortable for you or not what you want. As you've said many times, this was booked long before the election, why we're here, and it's just such a wonderful place. If somebody has a problem with that, well, it's not their money or their decision to be here.
Well, of course, in these times, everybody has an opinion on everything, and that's what social media is all about. But there was a huge groundswell this past weekend, and before the tariffs were even announced, and what the Prime Minister said Saturday, to buy Canadian. And that, along with getting our flag back, is that not the most positive thing to come out of this?
Absolutely. We are learning so much. It's an opportunity to be educated on who owns what and what our neighbors are doing for work that contributes to things that we have in our refrigerator. I mean, you might think that something's Canadian and it's not. And on the other hand, you might think it's not and it is. And I would encourage people to do due diligence, even on some of those lists that are going around, because not all of them are up to date. Not all of them are accurate. And it's a big monolithic job to try and gather everything that's Canadian. I mean, there was an argument between a couple of friends of mine on Facebook, and this is probably happening everywhere, about Tim Hortons.
Right. You and I now know more about Tim Hortons and what they've been doing in the past 10, 20 years than we ever thought that we would.
Right. Because now we're going, okay, if we're out and we want a coffee, Starbucks is American.
Mm-hmm. Second cup isn't ubiquitous enough. There aren't enough of them around.
No, and too bad, because they're wonderful. Second cup is wonderful.
And a great mission.
And here's where it gets complicated, because Tim Hortons, as we know, started in Canada. Now it's owned by a company that has foreign ownership, right? Mm-hmm. Headquartered in Toronto. Mm-hmm. An American CEO.
Yeah.
Many franchises owned by Canadians in Canada, many not.
Mm. And a Brazilian component.
Right. You can get waxing done now.
Apparently you can.
Oh, gross.
Ew. Yeah, so it's very confusing. But something we found out that was most interesting was product of Canada versus made in Canada. Now, don't let your eyes glaze. Glazed. Because Lisa's going to explain it.
I am. And it's a big difference, because product of Canada means it's got 85% or more Canadian content, almost like a record. Mm-hmm. But made in Canada means it's just over 50%. So you want product of Canada to have more of a Canadian content.
And how do we remember that? Pro. You are pro product. Okay?
Yeah, that's very good.
Thank you.
You've done that with names for years.
Oh, God, just trying to remember anything. Are you kidding, Linda? Anyway.
Okay, so it's product of Canada that has more of a Canadian content in. And there are all these things about milk and all these different products. You look for the little blue cow on milk products to know that they're Canadian. There are just so many little tiny things. But we found a bunch of absolutely Canadian products.
Yeah, okay. Chapman's ice cream. Mm-hmm. It's patriotic to eat their frozen yogurt and ice cream, Lisa.
Well, I'm going to buy it by the barrelful then.
McCain, deep and delicious. Cavendish Farms. King Cole tea instead of Tetley. Go for King Cole. And then, what about a company like, I don't know, A&W? Mm-hmm. Came to Canada in 1956, and they are completely separate from the A&W in the U.S., so go ahead, get your perfect size from the burger family.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, A&W.
Orange juice? Packaged here? But we don't grow oranges.
No, we don't.
So we have to import the oranges in order to make the orange juice.
Let's talk about orange juice. I happened to listen to a podcast by Terry O'Reilly, who is an advertising guru.
We love him.
We do. Under the Influence, it's called.
Great series.
Well, he told the story of how orange juice became so normal, and it was all marketing, Lisa.
Okay.
It was never a thing to drink orange juice in the morning, but they had too many darn oranges. And they decided, well, we're going to juice them. We're going to sell this juice. And then, of course, they marketed it as something that you absolutely had to have.
Get your vitamin C. Mm-hmm. So this is the Florida Orange Juice Syndicate or something?
I want to say California.
Yeah.
And the whole point of it was to drink orange juice. Well, if you look at it, it's so much sugar. And if you just eat an orange instead, maybe from Spain or Northern Africa, you'll get the pulp as well. You don't have to give up on it, but it doesn't have to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Kellogg or whatever said that cereal had to be a part of the morning too. It's just all BS.
All marketing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing you just touched on. People seem to be willing to give up something that is a habit.
Right, like bourbon.
If it's not, you're not just talking about you and me, if it's not Canadian.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's out. Now, with the pause, some of the things have been paused, like American liquor being brought in or the Starlink contract in Ontario. But I'm going to keep going looking for Canadian products and subbing them wherever I can. Are you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so terrific. And again, we're trying to find the positives in this whole show. That people are setting up Facebook pages and saying, okay, these are Canadian brands. These are the stores carrying them. Pauline wrote to us and said, what if, wouldn't it be nice if our grocery stores would dedicate aisles for Canadian made items instead of us having to look at labels and packaging? What do you think, Lisa and Aaron? If anyone can get this to happen, it's you.
Oh, yes.
Oh, bless you,
We
Pauline.
love the confidence. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
But this is not how Canadians are normally. Mm-hmm. So we understand why it wouldn't have been this way. We are just such a lovely, welcoming people. But now maybe we do have to do that. Maybe we do have to just make it as easy as possible for people and support our neighbors. You know, you and I have said this for so long about buying Canadian. I will tell you, I've never understood living on a border city in Canada and driving across the border to get groceries. I've never understood it from the perspective that you're not supporting what supports you.
True.
I know that a lot of people do it for savings and that kind of thing.
And variety. There are millions of different flavors of things, possibly because they have ingredients we shouldn't be eating, and our rules can be tougher in some ways. But yeah, there are a lot of people who just go over there for the fun of it.
Right. And I understand it is fun to go shopping at a different place, but maybe it's time to rethink that and think about our neighbors at home who are working. This is another place where I get a little bit of, I'm not really sure about this. So there's an American store, say, in Canada. It's an American chain. But
Walmart,
my neighbor
for
works
example.
there. Okay, a Walmart.
All right.
My neighbor works there. Mm-hmm. If we stop shopping there, and I'm not a big Walmart fan or anything, but it's just an example.
Right.
If we all stop shopping there, my neighbor's out of a job.
Right.
So it can get a little bit complicated when you're looking at every angle of it.
Yeah, and it's so hard to have a hard and fast rule because everything is just so complicated, as you say. So what do? We do the best we can.
Exactly.
We don't judge each other or
No.
say,
And
how dare you
No.
go to Florida? How dare you vacation someplace?
Or how dare you go across the border and buy your groceries? Fill your boots or your boot. But it's just something that I'm not going to do. That doesn't mean I care that much if you do it. You have to do what's right for you. We all need to try.
Yeah.
I think we need to try and put
This was a
Canada
big
first.
wake-up call. And I think Canadians are ready to stand on guard for us.
And thee.
Thank you. Thee too. Hey, you know what? We're not too far away from Valentine's Day. So maybe this is the opportunity to look for Canadian brands of chocolate like Ganong and so many of the others that are really good Canadian brands. But also, if there's a sweetie in your list or you're treating yourself, which we are all in favor of, boy, Envy Pillow is waving that Canadian pillowcase proudly these days, aren't they?
Born and raised in the Great White North.
Woohoo!
Envy Pillow, like maple syrup and, our national religion, hockey. And Envy Pillow wants our American friends to know they still love them.
Of course.
But they are Canadian and very proud to be Canadian. And they promise the best sleep of your life no matter where you're sleeping. In fact, we have one here. We have two here.
We do.
We have 2 Envy Pillows here while we're here. They're sustainable, ethical. They are Canadian through and through. And when you're talking about Valentine's Day, it's really hard to get a good night's sleep on a dozen roses.
Yeah, it is.
So
I told you about the time Rob put flower petals in the bed, but they were dried. He bought rose petals that were for potpourri, and he put them in the bed, and I climbed into the bed in the dark, and I thought I was being attacked by termites or something. It was unbelievable.
So an Envy Pillow would be a much better idea. So
That's right.
do check them out online.
Absolutely. Go to envypillow.com and get 10% off using the code GF.
That code is useful also at Sierra Sil.
Yes.
Our other all Canadian.
Yep.
Manufactured, made, thought of.
Yes, yes. And Michael Bentley, who is the CEO, he's based right in Vancouver. And as a longtime friend and associate, I know that the man stands for integrity. And so do these products. There is a guarantee that they will work on your joint pain within 14 days, Joint Formula 14. 14 days, you'll notice a difference, especially in your knees or your money back. There are pet shoes. We've had older dogs who've used them, and they really work. They get them up on the couch, on the bed, every place they're not supposed to go. But yeah, check it out. Sierra, SIERRA, SIL, SIL.com.
And that code, GF, will get you 10% off.
Well, I hope you had a good visit down here because it's just been so much fun. I never eat out, and you and I went to some restaurants. Oh, I had gazpacho the other day. Oh, but you know what? We had trouble finding a restaurant on Monday together because of something really notable.
They did this the first time in 2017 and now have brought it back, and it's called A Day Without Immigrants. And it's got to do with the way immigrants are being treated by the current administration and the previous administration, which is why it started in 2017. And it's happening all across the country, or did happen all across the country. But here we know for sure in the Palm Springs area, they closed some restaurants because some of the owners are in solidarity. It's like, you're not coming in. You get a paid day off.
Wow.
You stay home. We'll show this area what it's like to not have you working here.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. It's just been heartbreaking to see some of the scenes where people are being torn from their families and ICE is going out and
going to schools, for God's sake.
yeah, and teachers barricading the doors and not letting them in. And you wonder how true some of these videos are, the ones where people say different things about the administration, even if you want to like them.
Oh, yeah, that Trump's favorability rating is way down.
Yeah, and
you want to go, yay, but
it wasn't true. And one guy I saw saying that he didn't realize that with his vote, he was getting his wife deported. I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's true either.
Right. But it's not great. And so they want to show what it's like when immigrants aren't working. And that meant a narrower choice of restaurants, which is no big deal when you're looking at everything.
No.
But it brought it to our attention.
It really did.
Yeah.
And it made us appreciate even more the servers who were there for us, and we reflected that in the tip, so for whatever that's worth. So, I don't know when we're going to see each other again, and you get to see the dogs and maybe me.
And maybe Rob, if I'm lucky.
Maybe. But gee, it's been nice having you here and helping me to deal with all this stuff and keeping me from running for the door and heading for the border.
You are the most generous, thoughtful host, and I absolutely love it. There is a different vibe this time, almost a calmer vibe, with us being together.
Really?
And I think it's because we have been seeing each other more often in recent years, and we talk every week now for the podcast. I don't know. It's always great, but it was even greater.
Well, one of the things I'm going to miss the most about coming to the U.S., and this is our last trip, as we mentioned last week on our Facebook Live, is having a place to be able to invite friends and say, hey, here's your reward for putting up with me. Come on down.
Well, it's just fantastic. The air fryer got a great workout. We did swimming and walking the dogs and hanging out with the dogs. I don't know what's been going on with Dottie, but she licked my teeth, and that was a first. So,
are you bragging or complaining?
I'm bragging because
Oh,
she
geez.
gets right up in there. It's like, I love you.
Well, we all love you, Miss Lisa. Thanks for this. Oh, and thanks for all of your good work with our Gracefully and Frankly t-shirts. We had so many people after last week's podcast who asked, where can I get a Queenager t-shirt? So help us out again.
Okay, so I'm really trying to get the website down to fewer words. Right now, it's on my website, Voice of Lisa Brandt.
BRANDT.com.
Then look for the menu and the store. And you just click on the store. It says GNF Boutique and you're in there. But the tricky part is voiceoflisabrandt.com.
I love that voice. You can Google it too, though, can't you? Gracefully and Frankly t-shirts.
Yes, you can.
And it'll come up.
It should come up, and you can put in Aaron Davis or Lisa Brandt or whatever. All those keywords are in there, baby.
Yeah, and they're on our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page as well. So there you go. Thanks to everybody who has ordered our necklaces, our earrings, the t-shirts, everything that we're doing. It just gives us so much joy to share all of this with you. And I guess that's what I get to do too, not just inviting friends to vacation with me, but also our listeners to be here with us. Safe travels home. We'll have another podcast next week.
We will, from different time zones again.
Jeez.
Thanks, honey.
Oh, you too. Say hi to Canada for me.
I will.
I miss her.
You'll be back soon.